Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and in this video I want to cover weapon crafting, and I want to cover basically everything we have gathered in about this first week of Witch Queen. We've got brand new currencies, we've got different sources for those currencies, we've got new weapons, new blueprints for those weapons, and patterns, basically the same thing, that you're going to get from different sources. We've got ways to unlock those currencies and earn them, and also this thing in front of us, the relic. So we've got a few pieces to this whole equation of weapon crafting, and my goal is to cover everything so you understand all the pieces of these steps. Now, there are a couple things that we don't quite know or haven't seen, but we can probably give pretty good speculation on. So that mostly covers what I want to do in this video. You guys will see timestamps, so if you want to scroll through looking for a certain section, you can. But this will hopefully be kind of my ultimate weapon crafting guide, weapon crafting 101, if you will. Now, you've probably seen this screen one time or a couple, depending on how far you are through the campaign. But if you want to understand everything, I'm going to go through everything in a little more detail, a little bit slower. If you just kind of went in, built your first glaive, took off, and then reshaped it later on when the campaign told you to, then you may not know all the nuances, and there's a lot of pieces to this. So the first thing you want to do is you want to try and shape a weapon. You're like, cool. All right, there's an auto rifle. Let me shape it. Pattern has not yet been unlocked. Well, if you want to unlock a pattern, you've actually got to go figure out how to get the pattern. Now, there's a good place to check any and all of the patterns that are related to weapon crafting, and that's going to be Triumphs, Patterns, and Catalysts. They've actually added this season, and you're going to have Catalyst over here, so if you're checking on those, they're there, but all of your patterns for Heavy, Special, and Primary are right here. So here's Come to Pass, that same auto rifle. So it's completing Deepsight Resonance Extractions on this weapon will unlock its pattern, and you'll notice it says Pattern Progress 0 of 2. Now remember that, because say the one right next to it says Pattern Progress 0 of 5. But you're wondering, what is Deepsight Resonance Extractions? Well, if you've been playing Witch Queen for a little while, or maybe you've stepped away and you're like, what the hell am I getting into with weapon crafting in Destiny? We're getting weapons that now look like this. They have a red outline around them, and that means they have active Deepsight Resonance that can be progressed. And you'll notice this one has like 9%. So what this means is, if you come over this little box, it's going to tell you, use this weapon in combat or to complete activities in order to attune this resonance and extract materials for future shaping. Now, you can do this in one of two ways. If you kill enemies, as in combat, it takes about 100 enemies to kill. It's about an average that I've found most of the time, 1% per enemy, pretty straightforward. I don't know if bigger enemies count for a little more, but basic red bars are 1%, so you can do the math as you want. When it comes to completing activities, like a basic Crucible match, I think is like 33%. A Hero Nightfall might have been like 50. And the key is the fact that I've got the weapon equipped. Like, just because it's in my inventory and I go finish a mission, it's not going to count. But, you know, if you're one of those that's actually really good at like using a weapon you like, and then right before the thing finishes, you could actually equip the weapon before the strike is over with, for example, and you would get the progress. I'm usually terrible about trying to remember that type of stuff. So honestly, if you're doing basic strikes, hero nightfalls, public events, patrols, any of the basic normal stuff you're going to do, you're going to be experimenting with some fun weapons in Crucible, I can tell you that. But if you have it equipped on you when you finish the activity, then you'll get the progress chunk on top of the kills that you're going to get. So you may as well use it so you get two birds with one stone. When you finish the Resonant Progress, your weapon's going to look like this one. Now you see Attunement Progress, big giant red exclamation mark on it. Now, what you can do from here is you're going to extract the resonant elements, and you have a choice. You've either got Mutable Element or Adroit Element. Now, these are the resonant alloys. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to throw at you, so this is just going to take a second. Neutral element, you can see anytime you do this, whether you pick Adroit, Mutable, and there are also other versions of this. There are Ruinous, there's Energetic, we also covered Mutable and Adroit, and there's also Drowned, which is very specifically related to raid weapons. But you always get 200 neutral element whenever you actually go through the process of doing the resonant extraction. So you always get the neutral element. That's a more common currency. You'll see where that comes into play. But you can also look up here and see how many of these that you've got. Currently, Adroit, I've got 236. And the Mutable, I've got 212. Now, the other couple I mentioned, they're not really readily available currency numbers. You're going to have to see if you have a weapon that has the other ones on them. So, for example, one of these sidearms is bound to have something different. This one has Adroit. This one has Ruinous, for example. Now, you'll know when you go to crafting how much you have, but the only other place right now to see how many of said currency you have is right here on a weapon that has it available. And there's different elements that are tied to kind of different perks. Some are going to be damage related, some are going to be movement related, some are going to be ability related, and that whole thing's on screen. But once you actually get to this point, you can choose to extract, and usually I've just been working on the one that's the lowest, so I can build up as much. So if mutable for me is lower, I would come down here, and I would choose mutable. I'm going to get 12 mutable element. It's not a ton. It takes you 100 kills or a couple activities to get 12 of this element. I want you to remember that, because certain perks are going to cost you 70, so it's going to cost you quite a few of these to pick one perk. Remember that. Neutral element, you get 200, and even if, say, you're maxed out on one of these elements, the cap at 250, you'll still always be accumulating that neutral element. That seems to be the one that's going to be common for basically everybody. Now, once you've done this, so, for example, the auto rifle that I needed was Come to Pass. I have one of these. It does not have the red bar outline on it. What I'm looking for is the Come to Pass auto rifle to drop that has the red bar outline on it so I can do the attunement process. So I need 2 Come to Pass with the red bar outline, and then I need to attune both of those weapons separately. So you're going to go through and either do 200 kills or 4 nightfalls or whatever it may be. When you actually go through the process of attuning and then extracting from both of those 2 Come to Pass auto rifles, that is how you unlock a pattern. So then at that point, you would come up here and you would see pattern progress 2 of 2. Or it's actually probably going to show like this one where it shows progress complete. That is how you unlock a pattern. And you're going, that's the step? Yep, that's how it starts. Now, there are certain weapons that you're going to get throughout the Witch Queen campaign. And they're going to be readily available and dropping all the time. You're going to see Red Herring a lot. The Palerma, this is like a Hake one, so this is just a standard one. This is unlocked with literally by doing the quests. So this one you're going to get pretty automatic. Also, the fusion rifle. Sorry, wrong weapon. The sidearm, empirical evidence. This one is also automatically going to unlock. Shotgun. This is done from reshaping when you do that later on. So there's a couple that come from the quests, and there's a couple that come from Witch Queen just being there. Then you've got Finch, your little ghost shell that hopefully you've seen by now. He's going to have 3 weapons, and if you progress through his quests, you're going to start seeing more of these weapons dropping. You're going to see the Forensic Nightmare. Notice I've got 1 of 3. You're going to be seeing the Fusion Rifle, likely suspect. And then you're also going to be seeing the Pointed Inquiry, which is the Scout Rifle. And I don't have any of those yet. Those are the ones that come from the Finch quests. Once you do the quests from Finch, those are also going to be dropping from anything you do on the Throne World, public events, random chests, killing an elite, whatever it may be. You'll see those, and those can now start dropping along with the armor. They're kind of in the Throne World pool. There are a few weapons that only drop from the Wellspring activity. So if you go to the directory and you'll see Wellspring, you'll notice it has 1 weapon listed as uncommon, or if you do this thing on Master, it's going to show common. And it's on a 4-day rotation. So it's going to be weapon 1, weapon 2, weapon 3, weapon 4, weapon 1, weapon 2, so on. And those weapons are very specific. So you've got the Come to Pass auto rifle. That's one of them I already mentioned. You're going to have the sniper rifle, Father Sins. You're going to have the Tarnation grenade launcher. And you're also going to have, I'm blanking. Oh, it's the bow. The Fell Taradiddle. So you've got 4 weapons that are only going to drop from Wellspring. So, let me do this math for you. You need X number of weapons to drop that have the red bar outline. Some of those weapons only drop from a specific activity. So then you need to do that specific activity X number of times, however many it takes, to get, say, for the auto rifle, I need 2 of these Come to Pass to drop that have the red outline on it. Once you have both of those, then you attune them, the pattern is locked, and then you can make your weapon, and it's going to look like this. So now this is going to be step 2, the details of actually shaping your weapon. Up until now, it's just unlocking the pattern. So when you click on shape, your screen is going to completely change. Now, shaped weapon, likely fusion rifle, void special weapon. You're going to see the first slot. It says empty frame socket. Now, the likely suspect is going to be rapid fire frame until Kingdom Come. That is just the type of weapon that it is. Deep ammo reserves, fast reload when empty. Check. That's going to cost you 5 Resonant Alloy. Now, Resonant Alloy comes from dismantling legendary weapons. I've probably seen a rare one drop from a blue. I probably have rarely seen it drop from like a legendary piece of armor. Most, and I would say probably 90% of the time, where you get Resonant Alloy from is going to be from a legendary weapon, and it's one at a time. This currency is also capped at 80, so you don't want to just blow through it and they need to do more crafting. Now, you're going to notice this is the base level. You later on, once you get the weapon up to level 7, you're going to basically be able to masterwork it. It's not going to do the orb generation as we had before, but it's going to give you that little stat boost. So this is going to be charge time. This is going to be handling, a little bit of range, a little bit of stability, a little bit of reload speed. You also note it says once you've actually done the enhanced intrinsic, which say this one's charge time, it also says this weapon will earn an additional minor stat boost at level 20. I don't have anything that's legendary that high. I've only got an exotic that high. But it's just going to be probably a minor stat boost to charge time or to handling, for example. It'd take it from 62 to, I don't know, if it's 5, it might take it to 67. I got to get one there to see, but that's the idea. Is if you spend time with the weapon, which you generally will, you're only going to craft one of these things, you're going to get it to level 20 and it gets a little boost. My advice is take the normal frame. You do not have to masterwork this thing anytime soon. Save that till later. Now, if you capped out on Resonant Alloy and you want to get more and you know you've got a weapon that you've got done, then once you get up to 7, sure, masterwork it, but, you know, think about what you want to masterwork. You don't want to haphazardly change this all the time. You'll run out of Resonant Alloy. So that's step 1, is pick the frame. Now you have all the perks. Now, you have your barrels. You have your magazines. Typically, they could be called slightly different things. You have your 2 trait slots. For your barrels, and each one of these, you're only going to notice you've got the first 2 options open. As you spend time with the weapon, level 2, 3, 4, 5, level 8, come up here, level 14, 15, 16, you're going to unlock more traits as you spend time with the weapon. So the first time you craft this thing, it's not going to be a god roll. You're going to have to spend some time with it, love it, nurture it, and grow that thing up into a full-blown adult likely suspect. Then you get to have fun with the good perks. But for now, pick something that you're not just going to completely hate. So for me, I'll take a little stability. I'll take accelerated coil so it fires faster. Or maybe you want a bigger magazine, go with that. Now, this is where you get to traits. Now, this is where you can kind of look around and see. And you can see what things cost. You've got normal traits, and you've got enhanced traits. I'll get back to the enhanced ones in just a second. So you take Firmly Planted, you can see the cost as you go, and it's not charging you. You can experiment all day, and this is not charging me anything. It only charges you when you actually shape the weapon. Second trait slot, do I want it to fire slower after a kill, or just get me ability energy? I'll take that one. This slot is the mementos. This is basically a cosmetic thing. Right now, as of making this video, the only memento is available from Gambit, and it's based on cosmetics. It's going to unlock a shader, a kill tracker, things like that as you level it up. And the shader, I think, unlocks at 30. Granted, if you make a god roll and you spend time with it, you'll eventually get it up there. It's just kind of one of those things for a long-term investment. These drop, I think they cap out at 3, and they drop from, say, like Gambit. We're also going to see some from the Raid, probably from Trials. High-level stuff is where this is going to come from, as it says. Now, you can come over here and you can see the total cost of your weapon. 5 Resonant Alloy. That's that stuff that drops from dismantling weapons. 750 neutral element. Now, you remember when I told you those red bar weapons, any of these, when you go through the attunement process, you're going to get, it's a little slow, 200. So I'm going to have to do this to 4 weapons just to craft 1 low-level weapon in the first place. So keep that in mind. So if I go through and I craft this one, I'm not going to finish it because I've already made one. I would craft and create the weapon, and I would turn around and have my likely suspect that I've crafted. Any crafted weapon that you have is going to look like this. This is going to be your crafted weapon. Now, the crafted weapon is going to have this little icon on it. That's going to show it's crafted. And my advice, as soon as you craft a weapon, lock it. Because you only have to craft it 1 time. Then you're going to spend time leveling it up, unlocking the perks. And that's when you get into the modifications. So this is my base level guy that I made. I'm going to spend some time leveling him up. Could be a slow process. But as you level it up, you'll unlock more perks. So what I can do, so I'm not going to finish this one, so I'm going to back out. Once you've created a weapon, you've spent some time with it, you've nurtured it, you've leveled it up, now you're going to reshape that weapon. When you go to reshape a weapon, what you're going to do is take a weapon you've spent some time with, like my glaive, and now you can actually modify anything you want. But I want to go over some details here because it's very important to understand when you modify a weapon, you will be paying for these changes every single time. None of these changes are permanent unlocks. Now, if Bungie ever watches this video, I hope they change that in the future. But for now, don't just haphazardly change these perks all around to experiment. If you have a lot of currency, cool. If you don't, you really want to be cautious in where you spend it. So right now, the hafts, this is only going to be 75 for a change. Say I want to change to auxiliary reserves, it's only going to cost me 75 to switch. That's not that bad. Same thing here on the magazine. None of these are going to be that expensive. Maybe I'm like, okay, light mag's decent, but let me see how SWAT mag feels. This weapon's ready and stow speed is faster. That might be cool. When you get into the traits, this is when it's going to get expensive. Now, I'm not saying don't experiment. If I'm using Impulse Amplifier, maybe I want to try Subsistence. It's only 300. It's literally 2 resonant weapons. They're not that hard to do. That's not that bad. The crucial step comes in when you want to kind of narrow in and pick an enhanced trait. You do not want to experiment with enhanced traits. When you pick an enhanced trait, you're going to want to leave it for a little while. So one, you've got 2,000 neutral element. That's just the base cost down there. Then you can see the adroit element, for example. That's that legendary resource that I was talking about. Each of the red outline weapons that you do gives you 12. So it is going to take you 6 weapons just to be able to pick one enhanced trait for one weapon. It would take you 12 to be able to get both perks. So that is 12 weapons to be able to pick one perk, or 2 perks for a weapon. So if I want enhanced here and I want enhanced here, that is going to be 12 different weapons that I go through the resonant process for. So this is a long-term investment. Now you're also going to notice the other currency is Ascendant Alloy. Ascendant Alloy is a very specific resource, and it only comes from certain places. Now, you've got 2 of them that are going to come from the tower. One of them is going to be from Banshee when you hit rank 16. That is not a fast process. That is not going to come up that often. That's just one of those that every so often you're going to have broken down enough random stuff that you eventually trip over rank 16 and you're like, oh, cool, I got one. That's like going to be your occasional freebie. That's not something you're intentionally going to grind for. Second one is going to be at Master Rahul. He sells 1 Ascendant Alloy every week, and I highly suggest buying it every week, for 400 legendary shards. I know for a new player that's not going to be that much, but if you start breaking down a bunch of weapons and they're going to be throwing a whole bunch of stuff at you, as you break stuff down, you'll get legendary shards. It's 400 a week. Those are going to be worth the investment in shards, probably more than most things I could think of right now. So make sure you are buying those every week, if at all possible. Now, the other 2 places that you're going to be able to get Ascendant Alloy is going to be from the weekly campaign. Once you beat the full campaign, each week we're going to be playing one mission over and over and over and over and over. You can do it at different difficulties. Now, you're going to notice Ascendant Alloy is listed as a reward. It does not say if it's common, uncommon, rare, throwing it at you like crazy, or it's never going to give it to you. It doesn't tell you the drop rate at all. So whether it's Master at 1580 or the Match Made 1520, you would think the Master would be more frequent, and it probably is a little bit, but I haven't heard like any definite, math on it yet. Nobody's gone through and run 100 of these, 100 of these, and 100 of these to find the stats on it. I went through 4 heroes and I got one. Me playing by myself, streaming, jumped into a match made mission. It took about 20 minutes on this one, and I did that 4 times and I finally got one. You don't need a ton of these, because if you're working on like one weapon, then you're spending time with that weapon, you're unlocking it, and you finally got the perks kind of where you want it, you could probably spend one, enhanced trait at a time so you don't completely burn out. But you're not going to be like picking 12 different Ascendant Alloy perks at the same time, most likely. You're going to be working on one weapon, kind of finessing it, figuring it out. Then, you're going to commit to that perk. So it is going to be a time investment, but it's just not something you want to mess around on. The other one is going to be Wellspring. That is going to be master difficulty. So 1580, going to have to find a fire team for this one. And this is why I say the drop is weird. Here you can see Tarnation. It's that grenade launcher dropping common, high stat armor, common, Ascendant Alloy, nothing. No idea what the drop rate is. And I will tell you, as of making this video, people have been spending hours in this specific activity. They've got a lot of Tarnation weapons, but they have not got very many red outline weapons. So if you're looking for patterns from Wellspring, it is seemingly very difficult to do right now. Now, hopefully that is something they update in the future. I'll comment below if that's like a big patch update or something. And I'm sure hopefully by the time half of you guys see this, maybe it'll have changed. But be aware, if you're trying to farm for the weapons and you're trying to get the Resonance Extraction, the red outline weapons, and they're not dropping very often, you are not alone, is all I'm trying to say. But those are the places you get Ascendant Alloy. Wellspring on Master, the missions at basically any difficulty, Rahul, and every rank 16, hopefully, it's more than just one time, at Banshee. And that's why, like, I can go right now and pick Subsistence. It's only going to cost me 300 neutral element. That's not that expensive of an experiment. But I don't want to come in here and be like, okay, Impulse Amplifier. I don't know if I love that one. I blew an Ascendant Alloy, neutral element 2000, and then I want to switch over to Subsistence. When you commit to an enhanced trait, my recommendation, hopefully know that you like it first. So experiment with the regular versions. Be like, okay, how's this one feel? How's this one feel? How's this one feel? Okay, I really like this one. Then you can finally commit. That's the idea. So that basically wraps everything up, because then when you want to modify, same thing, you'll come over here, hold it down all the way. You'll have plenty of time to think about it. I'm not going to spin that right now because I'm not reshaping it, but that's the idea. So you've got specific places where the patterns come from, and you've got quite a few resources in here, but hopefully that covers everything. You're going to be looking for these red outline weapons. Specifically, you're going to be looking for the ones that are of the type you're looking for. I'm going to be looking for this auto rifle to drop as a red outline, and I need 2 of them. There's a lot of other weapons that we're going to be getting. Some are going to be raid related. Some are coming from Season of the Risen. But you're going to look for those. You're going to attune them. You're going to do the extraction process as many times as you can. That's going to unlock your pattern. You're going to go into the actual relic. You're going to shape that weapon for the first time. You're going to spend some time with said weapon so you can level it up. Then once you've leveled it up and you feel like you've unlocked all the perks you want to experiment with, then I would modify it probably just the one time to normal perks at first. See if you really vibe with those perks. Then if you're good and you've got enough Ascendant Alloy, take these perks up to enhanced level, and that's when you really want to commit. And again, don't forget, lock your weapon. If you've crafted it, you never need to craft another one of these. So lock it so you never delete something that you've potentially put a lot of resources into, is my point. Especially if you've leveled it up, you do not want to lose all that time. And that pretty much covers it. The only thing else besides that I probably haven't mentioned is exotics. You actually have the ability to craft exotics. And these are mostly going to come from quests, or they're going to come from very specific resources. Take the glaives, for example. You can see them all up here. Edge of Intent, that's the Warlock. Edge of Concurrence, that's the Hunter. The Edge of Action is mine, but the pattern's not unlocked because it comes from a quest. Same thing here. Pattern has not been unlocked. We don't have these yet because these are likely going to be quests or something specific out here. Shotgun, this one you get from the quest. But the sniper rifle, this I need to go farm in Wellspring. This one, all about Season of the Risen. So if you're looking for a certain weapon, spend time in that activity. If you're looking for the Wellspring activities, I'm probably going to put together a calendar if I can kind of get the order of these correct. And you're going to have a rotation for these to go through. But that pretty much covers all of weapon crafting that I can think of. If there's anything I missed, please comment below. If you have any questions about weapon crafting, also put a comment down there. Somebody's bound to answer you. A lot of you guys are awesome about that. If you have any questions for me and you want to find me on Twitter, it's Ebontis. If you want to jump into one of my streams, which those have been amazing lately to all of you guys in chat, thank you. It's Ebontis over on twitch.tv. And right here on YouTube, if you are new to the channel and you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button, hit that alert bell. I know many of you haven't, but those of you who have, thank you. And for those of you who have gone above and beyond joining the channel as a member or found my Patreon, you guys are extra rock stars, but all of you are amazing. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.